Hi, everyone. My name is Frankie, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. Today's workshop is going to consist of how of getting better grades. So we're going to go over various factors that I feel will support you in your journey to try to get better grades in case you want to, transfer out, apply for a certain scholarship, get to a certain major, a certain school. I feel that these slides are going to give you a competitive edge to make sure you're in a position to be a competitive applicant when it comes to applying to whatever academic trajectory you choose to go to. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we'll be covering today, what are different learning styles? So ways you can learn about yourself. So things you can learn about yourself, about how to go about learning your academics, why students need to practice learning styles, how learning styles can advance your leadership, how will learning styles influence learning behaviors, what learning styles work best for individual students, how can understanding about learning styles help you, how learning styles can enhance other parts of your life, and how to obtain better grades on homework, quizzes, and tests. All right, what are study skills? So study skills are approaches applied to learning. They generally they're critical to academic success, considered essential for acquiring good grades and useful for learning throughout one's life. Study skills tackle the process of organizing and taking in new information, retaining information, or dealing with assessments. They include mnemonic devices, which aid in retention of lists of information, effective reading, concentration techniques, and efficient note-taking. Any skills which boost a person's ability to study, retain, and recall information in passing exams can be termed as a study skill, and this could include time management and motivational techniques. Study skill techniques can be learned and applied to all or most fields of study. All right, so understanding study skills. So let's go ahead and watch this quick video so you guys can get an idea of what study skills are, and then we'll go more in depth on the following slides.
Practice. But which study tips and tricks actually work scientifically and can help you get those perfect grades? First up, research shows that study sessions are most effective in small, short chunks. Instead of cramming in a 10-hour study session, it's much more effective to spread it out into 20, 30-minute sessions over a few weeks. This is because your brain is better at encoding information into the synapses in short, repeated sessions as opposed to one large one. And this is why even learning different skills, whether it's swimming, tennis, or a singing lesson, often follows this same format. And while cramming and pulling all-nighters may be a ritual, it turns out that this is linked to the lowest grades. After prolonged nocturnal study sessions, reasoning and memory may be negatively affected for up to 4 whole days. Instead, setting up specific times in a day or during the week just to study primes your brain by creating a routine, and over time, studying actually becomes easier as your brain is trained to learn in those moments. And while many of us spend hours passively rereading our notes or highlighting a textbook, studies have shown this to be ineffective. It doesn't improve your understanding of topics, nor does it link key concepts together. It can even be detrimental as it draws your attention to less important information. Flashcards, on the other hand, are proven to be excellent memory reinforcement tools, whether during your scheduled study times or during off times like a bus ride home. It also helps to have a specific goal for each study session. Instead of aimlessly studying, pick one aspect you'll focus on, whether it's balancing chemical equations or learning how to conjugate French verbs. If you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. In studies where individuals were asked to learn a passage and then half were told that they would be tested on the material while the other half were told they would have to teach it to other students, participants expecting to teach it did much better at understanding the main points. When you're expecting to teach, your brain organizes the information in a more logical, coherent structure. Of course, practice, practice, practice. Not only do you practice tests put your brain in the environment, but even if you make mistakes, they help identify gaps in your knowledge. Practice tests have also been shown to increase confidence, thereby leading to better performance. So, where should you be studying? Research shows that having a designated sacred spot for study that's well equipped with every tool you might need is best. Just like setting times, this primes your brain for studying. Have an awesome study playlist? Not so fast. While some studies have shown that certain types of classical music can help improve concentration, a recent study has shown that learning with rhythmic background noise can be detrimental to focus, and those not using music fared much better. And if you haven't already, put away your phone. This is a no-brainer, but your texts and social media notifications severely decrease concentration. Of course, exams can be extremely stressful, so if you want some tips on how to deal with exam anxiety, check out our ASAP Thought video, which breaks down some tips for that. Link in the description. And a big thank you to
Okay. So like the video was saying, a lot of it, a lot of the things we're going to be covering right now was basically summarized. But right now we're going to go in depth of many, in addition to what they discussed, we're going to also be covering like other techniques or tips that you can use in order for you to be an effective learner. So first, this section right here is going to cover the focus on preparation. So, and remember this, how to find the most effective study habits. There's no magic formula or set prescription on how to study effectively. Every student is different. You might study well in the library while your roommate studies better in their dorm room. The key is to try different studying methods, include different study environments to figure out what works best for you. So like we were saying, it would something works for one student might not necessarily work for another. So make sure you keep that in mind. So if you feel like one of your friends is like, man, they get good grades, they stay at home, they study, you know, and they're able to do things and you try it and it doesn't work for you, then maybe that's not the proper way for you to go about it. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so the first section we're going to cover is organization is key. So organization is key. Something you want to keep in mind is since you have multiple classes, you have to balance, you know, your personal life, maybe work, academics. It's always good to have a college, like a in general, like a planner, right? You want to start planning. You want to start planning like your academics, personal life. If you have special events, on-campus events, things that you have to attend, you want to make sure that you find time for each thing you have to do, right? So creating a calendar or even having a dry erase calendar on your desk that changes every month. So you want to try different things that work for you. You could have the calendar on your phone, maybe on your laptop. For me personally, what worked for me was having like a passion planner or like a physical planner where I can write down what I had going on that month or even year. So that was an effective way for me to make sure I keep on track and on task of what I needed to do. So through your phone as well and electronic apps, you could put your appointments, events, due dates for assignments. You on the computer, you could use the phone, the tablet, and you could use the agenda and study guide outlines on Google Docs, Microsoft Words, and etc. So there's a lot of different type of electronic devices that you can use to try to make sure that you plan accordingly. So keep that in mind. So plan ahead, right? Not only just you want to start planning, but you want to plan ahead, see what's coming down the road. So create a study plan that begins at the beginning of the semester based on your course or your syllabus. So you could, you know, balance out your personal life, work life, and also academic life. Ideally, you should study a little bit every day throughout the week. So you never want to cram, right? And that's something we're going to talk about down the line. Studies do show that cramming is not really that an effective way of learning. So keep that in mind. Don't wind up cramming and stressing out right before a big exam. And that's something we're going to cover down the line. Take good notes. So for taking good notes, you want to know there's different ways of taking good notes, right? There's different ways of taking notes. So you want to find what is effective for you. So depending on the type of notes you're more comfortable with is what you want to go down to use to be able to use that effectively for yourself. So when you're studying later, you can review the information instead of learning it for the first time. So there's different type of note taking. So there's like Cornell note taking. There's maybe doing the web, kind of starting from the main concept to smaller concepts. So depending on what type of subject you're learning, there's different ways of taking notes. And you could always check in with your professor as well, see what would be the best note taking strategy for that class. So that could really help you out. So speak with the professor also about potentially recording lectures on your phone. Sometimes some professors are okay with this, some are not. It varies from professor to professor, but it's always nice to, you know, check in with them and let them know if they're okay with it. And if so, you know, then proceed accordingly. Create flashcards, highlight important parts, prepare graphics, use devices to enhance your learning experience. And there's different ways of going about note taking now with technology and everything. So whatever you feel works best for you, use it accordingly and make sure you check with the proper people to make sure that everyone's okay with, you know, the way you're going about your note taking. find a routine, or like the video was saying, right? Maybe it's a little bit hard at the beginning, but the more you find a routine, the easier it gets for your body, physically and mentally and psychologically. So find a routine for you, figure out what time and day works best for you. Like I said, depending if you have work, if you have personal things you have going on, have to support your family, outside external reasons, right? Always come in the way of like how you arrange your time. So make a real effort to dedicate that time to review your notes, videos, or related resources. Once you've decided what works best for you, try to stick with it every day for at least 3 weeks, or for at least 3 days a week, to get into the habit of studying consistently. So it does say at least 3 days a week, but the more consistent you are with the schedule, like I said, it gets easier for you. So you want to keep that in mind. You might wind up rearranging your routine due to extracurricular activities, time with friends, and other commitments, but be sure to prioritize your study and get them done in one way or another. So that's a really great point, because even for me, when I was a community college student, and even my undergrad and graduate career, there was a lot of times where there was pressure, or there was friends that were going out, and a lot of the times many times, if not all times, I ended up putting my academics first. So you want to think about that, like, is it worth going out and not getting a grade you wish you would have gotten on a test or something? So for me, it wasn't. So I, instead of going out with friends or hanging out and things like that, a lot of the times I would stay at the library, maybe connect with people that are beyond campus, classmates that, we could work together and so on. So maybe that could be something that works for you as well. So keep that in mind. Teamwork can be essential. Like I just mentioned, working with friends, right? So study with friends. Encouraging friends to study with you can make everything more fun and productive. I remember some of the greatest memories I do have in education is working as a group, right? Collaborating, seeing other people's ideas, having their input. And sometimes when I didn't understand something, they could teach it to me and vice versa. So it was a great experience to have, just collaborating and everyone having an input, making great long lasting relationships, and even making great friends, right? That even for me, I still talk to till this day. So as classmates to study with you at a certain time and location, if you're not in class with them, studying together in person can help you hold each other accountable. So that's another important thing, that if you're kind of feeling like slacking off, maybe your friends can hold you accountable and be like, hey, we have to finish this chapter. We have to get this done. We have a test, and, holding yourselves accountable. When you make plans with friends, you don't want to be the person that cancels or doesn't show up. So that's another thing, accountability. As for help, so if you don't really understand a concept, ask questions. Don't be scared. Many of the times when someone has a question, other students have it as well. So when you ask it, you're actually helping out other students. So never be scared to ask a question. Stop by the professor's office hours. That's another important thing, that if you want to build that connection with your professor, and who knows, maybe one day they could write letters of recommendation for you, building that relationship with the professors is very important. So you want to make sure you establish that right from the get-go. Introduce yourself the first day of class, let them know who you are and that you're excited to take the class with them, and just kind of connect with them whenever you do have any questions or concerns, and they'll be there to help you out. Some classes might even have Facebook groups to keep students engaged and create an environment to ask questions outside of the classroom. So like we said, right, there's a lot of platforms now that we can use online that can help you be engaged in whatever you're trying to accomplish. And in this example, it would be our academics. So yeah, creating Facebook groups, maybe even through group chats and things like that, you guys can help each other. Either way, your professors will be on your side, non-judgmental, wanting to help you understand it entirely. A lot of the time, students think that maybe they don't want to approach the professor because they feel intimidated, but remember, the professors are there to help you out and to teach you, and they feel connected to what they teach, and they want to be able to support their students as well. So don't ever be scared, just, for you to reach out to them. Teach someone. So teaching a friend, a family member, or even or a pet the material is a great way to show the material. When you explain it to someone else, you have a better grasp of the information you already have mastered and which information you should revisit yourself. So when you're explaining it, maybe you kind of understand the whole concept and there might be a small part you don't understand, but by teaching it, you kind of realize that you don't know that part. So you could revisit it, and then you could try to better understand that maybe that part you don't understand, right? You can create a fun PowerPoint, Google Slides, presentations, get creative, and present the information in a way that's easy for you and your audience to understand. So teaching the students, and that helps you learn it as well. who knows, you might even use that presentation in the future classes. Yeah, like for example, if your professor would one day say, hey, can you teach, this, or how did you come to this conclusion? And you have a presentation that'll help you be ready to be able to present and teach the material to your classmates as well to your professor, right? Create your own ambiance. So this is more about locations, and you'll see the differences between that. So switch your study spots. So studying in the same spot can get tedious. So why not mix it up and get a new perspective on things? So when I used to be in my undergrad and even graduate school, I used to use different lounges, or I used to go to different Starbucks. I used to sit in different locations on campus. So when I felt like maybe it was getting too stale and I was just getting stuck and I needed a different like scenery, maybe some fresh air, instead of being indoors, I would be outdoors. So there's a lot of different ways you could go about it. Maybe study at home if that works for you. Study at the cafe, study with friends, at the library, coffee places. There's sometimes late night places that you could go to with friends. So yeah, just studying it up, switching it up sometimes help just kind of get energy back into you. So some of the examples are right there. Take advantage of the study areas, both indoors and outdoors, and give yourself a new view every day. Eliminate distractions. So like the video was talking about earlier, right? Eliminate distractions. Studying without distractions is crucial. If you're studying alone, to try to find a quiet space to put your headphones in and block out the noise from your surroundings. And you don't necessarily have to use headphones to, work or listen to something. If you're more like a quiet person that just wants to, focus on your work, then you can also do that as well. If you're in an area trying to study and it's just not working out, relocate. So like I said, for me, when it gets stale, I try to go somewhere else and just refresh myself. It might be frustrating to have to pick up and move, but it's worth it once you get in a new environment. Consider putting your phone on silent or vibrate too. You can always respond to your messages after your study session. So there's also certain apps. I remember when I was in undergrad as well, I used to use this app that I used to put I used to want to study for 50 minutes and take a 10-minute break. 50 minutes study again, and then 10-minute break, because you don't want to study consistently for like hours, because sometimes at a certain point you just can't pick up anything anymore. So you want to take those breaks, right? You want to treat yourself, and we'll talk about that further down on the presentation. So how to approach studying. So don't cram. So like we mentioned earlier, you don't want to cram. Studies do show that, it's not really an effective method of learning. So you want to keep that in mind. So while it may seem like a good idea to learn the entire semester's worth of information in one night, it's not an effective study habit, and it can cause a lot of unnecessary stress, which are facts. Instead of going through that, study a little bit of information every day for at least 20 to 30 minutes. You'll likely remember more later, and you'll feel calm and prepared when it comes to the exam time. So remember, that's why it's important to have that planner, so you could study in certain increments throughout the day and better prepare yourself. And so when it comes time, it gets closer to maybe the test time, you'll have a general understanding of all the concepts, and then you could just maybe go back and try to study whatever maybe you still feel like you need to brush up on. So memorizing versus understanding. So memorizing information isn't learning the information, it's just helping you learn how to repeat it during a finite times. For example, if you're studying Spanish and it's for a Spanish exam, you're memorizing a conjugate verb chart. Remembering what the verbs look like in written form will help you remember the information for the exam. However, you might forget the meanings of the verbs and how to use them in a sentence afterwards, since it's a very specific way of studying. This may catch up to you when you take a next level of Spanish. So yeah, so right here, what we're trying to say is, when you memorize something, it's more about you just maybe even visually seeing how it looks, and it helps you memorize it. So when it comes time to maybe taking quizzes or something, you're gonna remember how it looks and you'll be able to pass the test. But in the long run, let's say you stay away from Spanish for a while, for example, and you come back, let's say the semester ends, you come back like a month later for the following semester, and you end up taking Spanish too. Since you just memorize the material, next time you see it, you might not understand it. So you might have more trouble being able to pass that second class. So, but if you understand the material, when you see it again, since you understood how it worked, then you'll have a better chance of understanding how it works and how to apply it to the following steps for your following classes. So keep that in mind. Review and reorganize your notes. So whether you are using a notebook, a laptop, good old-fashioned flashcards, review each line of your notes, and it helps ensure you hit all the right information you reviewed in class, and might even remind you of a few things you would have missed otherwise. So yeah, just reviewing your notes. Sometimes you feel that you have everything, but when you go back, maybe you miss something, and it can really help you out. It's good to review notes shortly after class and give again, and then again a few days later. This will allow you a break between edits and come back for the information with a fresh perspective. So sometimes, like given a certain time and you digest the material, after a certain time, maybe since you digest it, you're able to see a different or a new perspective that could better help you understand the material. So revisiting it, it's always a great idea, just so you could, have that in your mind. Study smarter, not harder. Occasionally, college professors will tell you the information that will or will not be on the exam. Listen to them. They're sharing this information with you to save you time, so you're not studying the wrong information for hours, so you can focus on important points. If you're unsure of what to focus on while studying, send your professor a quick email, confirm, or speak with them or her after class. So this is also important for office hours, right? So like we said, professors are here to help you out. If you have questions about the exam, what's going to be covered, what chapters you should go over, professors are here to help you out. Visit them in their office hours, send them emails, connect with them, and they'll be able to properly support you and tell you maybe what will and won't be on the test. And that would help you out by saving you hours, so you can focus on what's really going to be on the test. Keeping your cool. So use the reward system, right? The reward system. Studying can be draining, so treat yourself to a little motivation. So like I said earlier, for me, it was that 10-minute break, right? The 50 minutes of studying, 10-minute breaks. Some people might need 40-20, 30-30. So everyone's different. So you use what works for you. So you can also buy coffee from your favorite coffee shop, study snacks from campus and convenience store. You can also reward yourself by taking breaks for activities you enjoy, like walking, reading, watching at TV. Adding in a reward will give you something fun to work towards. So yeah, let's say you do the 50-minute academic session and then a 10-minute break. That during those 10 minutes, like we're saying, you want to maybe enjoy a little bit of YouTube, social media, something that relaxes you, right? That de-stresses you and just takes your mind off the academics part of it. And once those 10 minutes are up, understand that you have to go back to your academics, so you could keep studying whatever it is you're studying. So take breaks. So like we mentioned earlier, you don't want to just keep on cramming on information, because at a certain point, that information, like you just won't be able to pick up things. So you need to take breaks. Continuing from the previous point, taking the breaks is important. Breaks give you a boost of productivity, reset, and prevent burnout. So that's a key word right there, burnout. It might seem like you don't need to use all the time you possibly can to study back to back, but your brain will start to slow down. And if you don't give it a chance to relax, and negative things come out of it. So taking breaks can help you get the most out of your study time with at least the least amount of stress. So try, like I said, everyone is different. If you work better on 40-20, 30-30. So that's something you can keep in mind. So you know yourself best, so you choose what best works for you. Be confident. So it might be easy to fall into a trap of stressing yourself out while you're studying, but that will be counterintuitive in the big picture. You can control when you study, how you study, to prepare you for your exams. After that, you have to be confident and try your best to retain the information. Believing in yourself and trusting that you've got this can help you forget about the stress and focus on moving forward. So if if you take everything we've been discussing throughout this presentation, right? You apply everything. This would reduce your stress, because you'll be mentally, psychologically, and physically prepared to come in and take that test. And if you've been consistently studying, and remember, you understand the material, not just memorize it. You've been studying with friends, you've been teaching the material, you've been switching your study spots, you've been going through everything we've been discussing, the award system, checking with your professor office hours, emailing them, connecting with other students, reviewing material you've reviewed. As long as you do that, you're going to go into that test, that writing exam, whatever it is, you're going to go in there comfortable, because you took the proper steps in order for you to put yourself in the best position possible to be academically successful. So go in there, be confident, and with that confidence, it takes off a lot of the stress the night before. So a lot of students that study really late nights, it's gonna work against them, versus if you were to do all the steps we discussed, you're going to have a good night's sleep. So physically, you're going to go in the test feeling well and comfortable and well rested, right? And that gives you the more of the confidence of being able to just take that test and get a great grade on it. All right, so this is pretty much the end. This slide is usually for when we do live presentations, but since it's more recording, we won't be able to engage in that slide. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. There's our QR code in case you want to give us some feedback, or you do our survey. And here's our information. So like I said, I'm part of the Student Success and Dream Center. I'm a coach there. This is our phone number here in case you ever want to reach to us, our email and our location. And this is just kind of like an image of what people think success looks like. So people think that success just comes easy, but it doesn't. And at the bottom of the water, like, which is behind closed doors, like kind of what you're going through, right? So persistence, failure, sacrificing, there's disappointments, discipline, hard work, dedication. No one sees that, right? But when you get your certificate, or you get your college diploma, your college degree, people just see that success, but they don't see the effort you had to put in there. But you know yourself. So, and this is what we covered today, kind of goes with this, aligns with this image right here. So yeah, I hopefully you guys can get something out of this. And if you do ever have any questions, concerns, or want to go over this presentation with me, feel free to do so and reach out to us at the Student Success and Dream Center, and we'll help you out. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I do hope y'all have a great day. Thank you, and bye-bye.